Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to be diving deep into a really fascinating piece of literary history, Harriet E. Wilson's Our Nig.
Oh, Arnig. It's considered the first novel published by a black woman in the United States.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it offers this incredible, glimpse into a world we don't often get to see.
Yeah, pre-Civil War North, the life of a free black woman.
Yeah, navigating, all this hardship and prejudice. So, I mean, right from the
Oh,
preface.
yeah, Wilson actually cautions readers. She says she omitted some of the really harsh details of the protagonist's life. She was worried, that they'd be too shocking for her good anti-slavery friends.
It's kind of crazy, right? Like, even in a community, supposedly against slavery,
Yeah,
there were still, limits on the stories people wanted to hear.
definitely. Makes you wonder, what stories are we missing? What haven't we been told?
Right. So much hidden history. But let's let's start with Mag Smith. She's the mother of our main character, Frado.
Yeah, Mag's story is, well, it's a tough one. Really highlights the lack of options for single women back then, especially, black women.
And the novel opens with this line: "Lonely Mag Smith, see her as she walks with downcast eyes and heavy heart."
Oh, wow. Powerful stuff. You immediately feel her isolation, the
Like
despair.
a snapshot of vulnerability, right?
And it's not just her personal struggles. Wilson uses Mag to show these bigger societal forces at play. For example, her interracial marriage.
Oh, right. It makes her an outsider in both communities.
Exactly. She doesn't belong anywhere.
There is a bit of hope, though, right? When she meets Jim.
Yeah, Jim offers her companionship, a sense of belonging, but of course it doesn't last.
Yeah. Jim gets sick. Leaves Mag alone again, this time with 2 kids.
It's that cycle of hardship, limited opportunities.
Yeah, and it's into this world that Fredo is born. And it's important to remember, even though slavery was abolished in the North,
Its shadow was still there.
right, in different forms, like indentured servitude.
Yeah. Wilson uses Fredo's experience with that to expose this hypocrisy. Mag, desperate to provide for her children, essentially gives Fredo away to this wealthy white family.
Our Belmonts.
Yeah. And on the surface, it might seem, far removed from slavery.
But it's not, is it?
Not at all.
Oh.
The contrast, between their fancy lifestyle and what Fredo goes through is stark.
It's like a different kind of plantation, right?
In a way, yeah. The chains are invisible, but the power dynamics are the same.
So we see Fredo subjected to, grueling work, physical abuse.
Mrs. Belmont, the matriarch, is especially cruel.
Yeah, there's this awful scene where she whips Fredo with a rawhide.
Oh, gosh, yeah, for some minor infraction. She even calls it nipping it in the bud.
It's chilling, the way she uses this object associated with slavery.
It's not just physical abuse either. It's psychological, too.
Right. Mrs. Belmont constantly undermines Fredo, shaving off her glossy ringlets.
Trying to erase any trace of her individuality.
It's like what they did to enslaved people, right?
Mm.
Stripping away their names, their culture.
It's interesting. It's like she's trying to force Fredo into this, acceptable version of blackness.
Yeah, one that fits into her prejudiced world.
Exactly. But Fredo, she's strong. She has this inner strength that just won't be broken.
Even in the darkest moments, she finds these glimmers of hope, like her relationship with Aunt Abby.
Mr. Belmont's sister. She's one of the few who shows Fredo kindness.
And then there's Jack, Mr. Belmont's son.
He's got his flaws, for sure. Internalized prejudices.
But he does try to protect Fredo from his mother.
There are flickers of humanity in this dehumanizing system.
It shows that even in awful situations, compassion can exist.
And of course, we can't forget James. The others know.
Yeah. James is, he's pivotal in Fredo's life.
He really sees her potential, insists she's treated with dignity.
Make sure she can eat at the table, get an education.
Which is huge, considering the limited opportunities for black people back then.
James is, he's like a symbol of hope, the power of education to break cycles.
And when he's dying, he tells Fredo, knowledge is power. Strive to obtain it.
Such a powerful moment. It shows how education can be transformative.
And with James's support, Fredo starts to grapple with big questions.
Identity, belonging, faith.
She's drawn to Christianity, but struggles with the hypocrisy she sees.
It's something a lot of people can relate to, right? Feeling excluded by religion.
Oh, absolutely. Fredo's journey shows how faith is personal, complex. It's it reflects this big societal debate at the time.
Oh, about slavery and religion.
Yeah. Abolition was growing, and you had both sides using religious arguments.
Right, you see that in the book. with Mrs. Belmont.
Oh, totally. She weaponizes religion to put Fredo down, saying things like, religion wasn't meant for niggers.
Ugh, awful. It shows how people twisted scripture to justify racism.
Yeah, and it highlights, like, the power of interpretation, how those dominant narratives can be challenged.
But Fredo, she doesn't buy it.
Nope, she finds her own connection to God.
Finding strength in those shared moments with other Black people.
Those moments are so important for her, little sparks of resistance, you know.
But it's not just Fredo who suffers. Mrs. Belmont is toxic to everyone.
Oh, yeah, it impacts the whole household.
Like with Jane, Mr. Belmont's daughter.
Trapped in that loveless engagement, right?
Exactly. No agency, just like controlled by her mother.
It shows how, regardless of race, women were often denied, like, basic freedoms.
Mrs. Belmont is all about control, hoarding it, using it against everyone.
It's so destructive. You see it with Jack and Jenny.
Mr. Belmont's son and his wife, right?
Yeah. Mrs. Belmont turns Jack against Jenny, fueled by her own prejudices.
Classic divide and conquer.
Totally. She thrives on chaos, isolating anyone who challenges her.
Jenny becomes a target, just like Fredo, because she's an outsider.
Exactly. It's heartbreaking how Mrs. Belmont's actions hurt everyone around her.
But there are those small moments of pushback, right?
You mean like when Mr. Belmont stands up to his wife?
Yeah. He's often complicit, but sometimes he shows his own moral compass.
It's important, even if it's fleeting, shows that dissent is always possible.
Like, even in a system of repression, you can choose to speak up.
Right. Even small acts matter.
But Fredo eventually realizes true freedom means leaving the Belmonts.
At 18, she just walks away with nothing but a dress and a Bible.
It's such a powerful image. Heartbreaking, but empowering, too.
It speaks to, like, that human need for freedom, no matter the obstacles.
But the world outside is full of new challenges. Right?
Oh, for sure. Fredo faces not just individual racism, but systemic issues, too.
Wilson doesn't shy away from that.
No. Fredo gains independence, but still experiences exploitation, even betrayal.
It's a reminder that the fight for equality isn't easy.
And it's never over. There are setbacks, disappointments.
There's this line that really stuck with me. Pho. To lodge one, to eat with one, to admit one through the front door, to sit next one. Awful.
Oh, yeah. It perfectly captures that hypocrisy, right?
Between the North's ideals and the reality for Black people.
Total performative allyship. Condemning slavery in theory, but not actually embracing equality.
It's sadly still relevant today.
Yeah, the fight for social justice is always met with resistance from people in power who don't want to give up their privilege.
Fredo's story shows us how far we've come, but also how far we still have to go.
And it reminds us that it's a collective fight. We have to be vigilant, challenge the status quo.
It's about dismantling those systems of inequality bit by bit.
But even with all the hardship, Fredo never loses her spirit.
That spark of hope.
That determination to create a good life, a life she deserves.
It's what makes her story so inspiring, even today. It really makes you think, like what would Fredo's life be like if she were alive today?
Yeah. Would she finally find that acceptance, that sense of belonging she always wanted?
It's a tough question. I mean, we like to think things are better now.
Of course, yeah. But those echoes of her struggles, they're still present,
It's kind of unsettling to realize how many of the issues from the book are, like, still issues today.
Oh, yeah. Racism, inequality, exploitation, it's all still there.
So even though there's been progress with laws and, like, systemic racism, implicit bias, it's still woven into, American life.
Fredo's story is this powerful reminder, I think.
That the fight's not over.
Yeah, it's a constant thing. Challenging the status quo, dismantling those systems.
And we have to acknowledge the past, It's not about erasing it or pretending it doesn't matter.
So what can we do? As individuals, I mean, how do we, honor Fredo's story?
Well, I think our NIG pushes us to, really look inward, examine our own biases.
Yeah, that self-reflection is so important.
And to listen, truly listen, to the stories of those who've been marginalized.
Use our voices, our actions to, create change.
It's a call to action, really. Just as relevant today as it was back then.
Literature can do that, can't it? Not just entertain, but, make you think, push you to act. Absolutely. And for anyone who wants to explore these themes further, there are so many great books out there.
Oh, yeah. What are some of your recommendations?
Well, for the classics, you can't go wrong with Frederick Douglass.
Narrative of the Life.
Yeah, a powerful indictment of slavery. And, of course, Harriet Beecher Stowe's Uncle Tom's Cabin.
Such a pivotal book in the abolitionist movement.
For something more contemporary, Toni Morrison's Beloved is a must-read.
Haunting, powerful.
And then there's Colson Whitehead, The Underground Railroad, and The Nickel Boys.
He's such a talented writer.
Blends history and fiction so well. And we can't forget Jesmyn Ward, Sing Unburied, Sing.
It's incredible how she captures, like, the complexities of family, race, poverty.
These are just a few examples, of course. There are so many more voices out there.
The key is to keep reading, keep learning, right?
Exactly. Engage with stories that challenge you, broaden your perspective.
As we wrap up our deep dive into our NIG, I want to leave everyone with this thought.
What's that?
How can you use your own unique talents, your resources, to make a difference? In your community or even beyond?
It's something to really consider.
Thanks for joining us on this journey. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning.
And keep striving for a world where every story matters.
See you all next time.